Hi there, my name's Sam of Core Yoga, and today we're going to be spending some time working with the feet, and we're really working at mobilizing and releasing tension in the tissue, in the muscle and in the joints of the feet to create the mobility that we need in gait when we walk, to allow the bones to move and the muscles to respond in a way that travels up the chain in a positive manner. Essentially, often when our feet get really tight and congested, we need that movement to happen somewhere in the chain, and it tends to happen further up the chain. So it's my objective today to share with you some exercises, some movement patterns and some massage reliefs to help us get as much movement as we can out of the feet. So before we start, I just wanted to say that you'll need some sort of ball. A softer ball is better because it's a little kinder on the tissue, but not too soft. So this ball is a massage ball. It's a little bit firm, but a little bit soft. A tennis ball or something like that, a dog's ball, a kid's bouncy ball, something like that will be really useful for this session. We're going to start standing up on our feet and feeling the sense of our feet in contact with the floor. So you might not be able to see my upper body on the video, you don't need to. I want us to close our eyes and tune into how the feet feel right now. So we're going to go through a couple of half salutations really super slowly. And as we do that, it's really to tune in to what's going on in the soles of the feet and where we're carrying more load and where we're carrying less load within the feet and within the right to left also. So just standing in your normal standing stance with your eyes closed, feel the soles of your feet. And feel the soles of the feet as they make contact with the floor. So sometimes it's important to really take a moment to notice the more subtle sensations. And that's what we're doing right at the beginning of this practice. From here, as you inhale, reach your arms wide, lift your hands to the sky and look up to your thumbs. And then stay here as you feel the soles of the feet in contact with the floor. So just starting to observe what happens as I move through my simple and easy half sun salute. What's happening at the sole of the feet? As you exhale your next breath, soften the knees and fold forwards. And stay in your forward fold. Tune into the soles of the feet. Feel what you feel. And then inhale, press the hands into the shins and halfway lift. Keep the eyes closed. Tune into the soles of the feet. Feel what you feel. As you exhale, fold forwards, let it go. We've been here before, but just notice again. And then inhale, press the floor away from you with your feet. Reach your hands to the sky and look up. Exhale, bring the palms together in the heart space. So now I'm going to give you some guidance to notice a little more. As we travel through that next sun salute, we'll just pause for a moment or two in each place. And I just want you to notice where the weight is in your foot. So is it in the front of the foot? Is it in the back of the foot? Is it in the outer edge or the inner edge? And is there a pattern to that weight distribution? Inhale, press the feet down, reach the hands up, look up. Exhale, fold forwards. Just take a whole breath here. Notice what you feel in the feet. And then inhale, press the hands into the shins, halfway lift. Holding it here for a breath, feel what you feel. Exhale, fold forwards once again. And then inhale, reach the hands to the sky and look up. And exhale, palms together. So last round, I'd now like you to notice whether you feel more weight in the right foot, more weight in the left foot, or whether it's an even balance. Inhale, reach the hands up to the sky, feel what you feel. Exhale, soften the knees and fold forwards, notice. Inhale, halfway lift, feel that. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach the hands to the sky and look up. And exhale, palms together in the heart space. So then from here, we're going to start to roll out the feet. So we're going to bring our ball to the mat, and we're just going to take the ball and place it first of all just in front of the heel, and just allow your heel to soften into the ball. So we're just allowing first of all a sense of sinking into the ball to give the tissue an opportunity to soften and to release. Nice. And then we're just going to move that ball a little bit further forward and sink again. So what you don't want to do is cause any pain in the body, because the response will be a stress response, and that will stop the tissue from responding to that sensation. So you just want to feel maybe a bit of discomfort, but definitely no pain. And then move the ball back a little bit, forward a little bit further, and allow now the foot to sink a little bit further into the ball. So we just got to take our time. We just got to be patient that as we move the ball around the foot, that we take time to allow the tissue to respond. Now the foot is kind of around about the midfoot, and you're right underneath the joints of the toes. So start with the big toe, bring the big toe joint onto the ball and let it sink in. And then slowly move to the second and third toe joints. Good. And slowly move to the fourth and the fifth toe joints. Good. And then from here, we're going to bring the ball underneath the foot right from the heel. And we're just going to, you can use a wall to stabilize yourself. You're just going to allow the ball to travel forward to the toes, then lift up the foot and bring it back in again. So you don't want to move too quickly. You just want to allow the ball to slowly roll under the sole of the foot. And you're applying as much pressure as feels comfortable in your foot. You don't want to go, ow. Good. And so about 5 or 6 of these. Good. And then keep the ball at the top of the foot. And then rock the outer edge of the foot to the floor. And then rock the inner edge of the foot to the floor. So we're just going to rock from side to side. Nice. Move the ball to the center of the foot, from side to side. And about 4 or 5 or 6 times, not moving quickly, just slow and controlled. And then release it, let it go. Close your eyes and just stand on the floor. Now feel how the right foot feels in contact with the floor. Compare it to the left. Just notice what you notice. And then exhale into a forward fold. Notice what you notice. So you might find that the right foot feels more grounded. It feels more in contact with the floor. And you might feel in this forward fold that actually you're lopsided, that you have space on the right side that you don't have yet on the left. And that's because this sole of the foot is connected to all the tissues that lie right in the back of the body. So just because we're releasing the foot means actually we're releasing it right the way up the chain. Soften the knees and come all the way up to stand. And then take yourself to the other side. So we're going to start with the left heel and just in front of the left heel and just allowing ourselves to sink it into the ball. So you'll see my ball gives a little bit, it provides a little bit of resistance, but it's also got a bit of give. It's not too hard. Anything too hard or too spiky will cause the tissue to go into that same stress response. And as it does, it will freeze up and we won't be able to get into that tissue. Come a little bit further down and just allow the foot to sink in. So remember, just as much as your foot feels comfortable with. If you have done no foot care work before, you will not be able to apply much pressure. If you've done a lot of foot care work before, your feet are likely to be more responsive to the sensation and be able to release a little bit quicker. I do foot care work a lot, but it doesn't mean that my feet don't get tight and constricted. I run, I cycle, I swim, I move my feet on the yoga mat a lot. And so by taking care of my feet almost brings that care right the way up the chain. Everyone who is a student of mine knows I'm pretty passionate about the feet. Good. So then from here we do that roll. So we start at the heel, we apply a bit of pressure and we slowly roll along the plantar fascia in the sole of the foot until we get to the toe joints. And then we take the ball back and we do it again. So we're just rolling along the sole of the foot. And you might notice that there's part of the foot that feels more uncomfortable than other parts of the foot. Okay, so just observe, just notice, just feel. About 4 or 5 or 6 times. The same number of times as you did on the other side, if you can remember. Don't be in a rush. You can always pause this video and take longer, spend more time. When you get to the toes next time, just hold it under the toe joints and then just a little bit from side to side. Again, we're not trying to move too quickly. Move it into the midsection of the foot. Drop the inner arch, drop the outer arch. Move it from side to side. Don't cause yourself pain. And the thing that makes you say ow is too much. Move right just before the heel. Same thing, side to side. Good. Let's take another check-in. So release the ball, close your eyes. Stand on the floor and feel. Feel how the feet feel in contact with the floor now. Feel that sense of grounding. As you exhale, soften the knees and fold forwards. As you come into your forward fold, notice if that imbalance has gone away now. Maybe you are still a little imbalanced one way or another. Maybe you need to spend a little more time on one side than you do on the other. From here, soften the knees and come all the way up to stand. And so now we're going to move a little bit more into the toes. So we're just going to move the ball to one side. And we're going to just work the toes in a bit of movement in counter directions. And we're going to start with the big toe. So on a mat, because it feels nicer, you're going to take your big toe and tuck it under. And the rest of your toes are facing forward. So know that this has taken me many years to be able to get this far. Your toes might not necessarily be very mobile in the first instance. Remember, you're not trying to create pain, but you're trying to release tension. So we're just applying as much weight as we feel we can push through the foot without overloading it. And then from there, you're going to come forward and tuck under the rest of the toes and bring the big toe forward. Now feel free to use your fingers to guide the toes in the direction that you need them to go. So we start off by just tucking the toes and holding them in place. Nice. And then from there, we're going to walk the toes. So we'll come towards the end of the mat. We're going to tuck the big toe under and bring the rest of the toes to the mat. And then we're just going to walk them forward. So big toe comes forward, little toes tuck under, and vice versa. So we're just slowly walking the toes, getting a sense of control of the movement in those toes. Release. In theory, the toes should move like the fingers, but very often the toes have very little movement to them. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So left toe tucks under, rest of the toes face forward. Not possible in your body, come down onto your knees, tuck under your toe, move the feet forward and do it from your knees. So it's just a case of finding where your body can go in the first instance. Good. And then just staying here for a moment, applying a bit of pressure that creates sensation, but not that creates pain. Good. Same thing, other side. Little toes come under, big toe comes on top. Be careful. That just gave me a little bit of cramp in the sole of my foot. So I'm going to allow that foot to release for a moment before I go back there. So likewise, if you get cramp in the sole of your foot or through your toes as you're doing these practices, it's a message. You've got to release that. Otherwise, the tissue will again go into that stress response and it won't be able to soften into release. So essentially, we're trying to release the tension in the tissue, so the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, and the fascia of the foot. Nice. We get a little bit into ankle today, but not very much into ankle. And then release. And then we'll walk that foot up the mat. Slowly, with control. And the joints in your feet, they might click. That's totally okay. It's just a release of the air in the joint. When we can release the tissue around the feet, we give the joints more space to move. So that's essentially where we're going here. Now we're going to be standing on the mat and we're going to bring a little bit of strength into the foot. So I want you to press your little toes down and raise your big toe. Don't worry if they don't lift up. Feel them, lift them up as much as you can, even though they might not lift off the floor. Then push those big toes down and lift the rest of the toes off the floor. So now you're creating a little bit of strength in the sole of the foot. So this plantar fascia in the sole of the foot, press the little toes down and lift the big toe. That has to work real hard to create like this springy motion, particularly if you run, but also if you walk. And where we have too much tightness and tension, it can't create that springy motion, that springy movement. Press the big toe down and lift the others. So if it doesn't create that springy movement needs to come from somewhere up the chain. And then likely it's going to start to cause issues around the knees, the hips, the shoulders, somewhere. One more, little toes press down, big toes lift up. Big toes press down, little toes lift up. Nice. So now, this is quite nice to do with a blanket, but I'm going to show you without. A simple exercise to build strength and mobility in the sole of the foot is to scrunch something, either the air or a towel, with your toes. So you can do this while you're sat at your desk. You can do this while you're making the dinner. And just feel that sense of movement and activation in the muscles around the feet. Good. Same thing, other side. We're scrunching up an imaginary towel with our toes. We're creating a sense of movement in the muscles around the arch of the foot, in the toes. Good. And then from here, standing on the floor and starting to rock forwards and backwards. So you're going to rock forwards onto your tiptoes and raise your heels, backwards onto your heels and raise your toes. Feel the sole of the foot as it connects down. Don't worry if you wobble and fall, it's all part of the fun. Nice. Good. And so from here, coming down to the floor and coming onto your knees, keep the toes tucked under and sit your hips back to your heels. So you might stay here, and this might be enough for your body. If this is enough for your feet, stay here. Watch out that the little baby toe doesn't get a little untucked. If you're not really feeling it in your feet, walk your hands towards your hips and allow yourself, I'll just come forward a little moment, allow those hips to sink into the heels. And so feeling that weight of the pelvis as it presses down into the floor. So now we're getting a bit more mobility into those toes and a bit more strength into the sole of the foot. And so you can stay here as long as today, obviously, as long as I hold you here. But if you're at home and you're sitting down and you feel that, oh yeah, I could do the stretch in my feet, sit like this. Sit as long as you can hold it. Don't create pain for yourself. And so right now, today, we're going to be here for about another breath or two. And then we're going to finish off by really getting into the feet with our hands to really mobilize through the feet and getting a little bit into ankles. So come sit down on the floor. I'm going to sit cross-legged, it works for me. I do this pretty much every single day. I do it for fear of sharing too much information, but as I'm putting my body cream on, I'll put cream on my feet, I'll mobilize my feet and my toes. That's just part of that everyday process. What we want to do is we want to slide each finger in between each toe. So you might find that it's all a little bit tight and congested in there, because these toes in particular spend a lot of time close together, particularly if we're squeezing them into shoes. If you can't get your fingers in, so you're coming from the sole of your foot, underneath your foot, so your little finger and little toe are together. And if you can't get those fingers in, put some cream on your hands and then they'll slide in a little easier. So we just start off by getting the fingers through the toes and just holding it here like I've been holding as I talk to you. And then we can just start to move the toes forwards and backwards. Nice. And then we can a little bit turn the foot. So we're everting and inverting the foot. We're turning the outer edge in and then the inner edge in. Good. And then we can add a little bit of movement of the ankles, just moving the foot around. You might get a few clicks and cracks. That's totally okay. Nice. And so again, you can do this at home for as long as you feel is comfortable or as needed. And just bringing mobility, creating space between the toes. When you're ready, release that. And just before you come to the other side, I just want you to come stand in that forward fold again. And then press into the floor and come and stand up. Feel the sole of the foot now. Feel that sense of grounding, comparison to the left foot. So even though we've already done some work on both feet and they've already become more grounded, maybe now this right foot feels even more grounded. It feels even less kind of engaged and lifting up away from the floor. So we're going to come do the other side. So left hand, sneaking those fingers in between those toes. And if you can, go right up to the knuckles. And if it's all a bit congested in there, get some cream on your hands and just allow the cream to help you sneak through those toes. So we just hold the fingers here for a bit. We create that sense of allowing those toes to spread. And then bending the toes forward and backwards. Nice. Those clicks and cracks, no problem at all. Nice. And then turning the foot one way and then the other way. And then adding ankle movement and mobility in there as well. We got loads of joints in the foot. Loads of joints in the ankle. So in this section of the body, there's a lot going on. If something is stuck, then that's going to have an effect up the body. So just by taking care of the feet, we can help that movement chain become more efficient. So very often in the summer, we go from wearing heavy shoes that we've worn all winter to flip-flops and can suffer with pain around the feet. And so these mobilization exercises are really nice to do as you come out of winter into summer. Nice. And then from there, allow yourself a moment to get those fingers out of those toes and just feel how your feet feel. Extend your feet forward, and this time slowly fold yourself forward in a Paschimottanasana. It's not a strong forward fold. Good. Allow the feet to relax. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you find these exercises really useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Happy feet. Namaste.